Hello and welcome to Bass Basics with Mannybass. Today we're going to learn how to name the notes on the fretboard. So what is this note or this note or that note? We're going to learn all of that today. But unfortunately, we have to speak a little bit about music theory, but I'll be brief, I promise. So now, here's the thing. We have 12 notes in music that we use, 12 notes. But for some reason, we only use 7 letters to name them, to name those notes. We use the letters from A to G, okay? So that's 7 letters, right? That means we still have 5 notes that need to be given a name. So before we name them, we need to know where they are. Okay, so we got the letter A, which is assigned to a note, right? Now between A and B, we're gonna have one of the 5 special notes that tones that need a particular name. Now from B to C, there is no space. You jump straight from B into C. Then from C to D, we have another one of those special notes that needs to be given a special name. So between A and B, then between C and D. The next one is going to be between D and E. Then between E and F, there is no note. You jump straight from E into F. Then from F to G, you have another one of those notes. And finally, between G to A. So now, to name these 5 notes, we created 2 special symbols, namely sharp and flat. So what sharp does is that it raises a note and flat lowers a note by a semitone. We'll explain what a semitone is in a second. So the note between A and B can be called either an A sharp or a B flat. In other words, it's an A that has been raised, a semitone, and it can also be called a B that has been lowered, a semitone. Then from the note between C and D can either be called a C sharp or a D flat. Okay, same thing, D sharp, E flat, or the one between F and G, F sharp, G flat, and finally between G and A, G sharp, A flat. Okay, so now, what about our fretboard? Well, before we begin, when you count your bass frets, usually most basses have 21 frets, some have 24. Now, when you look at this fret number 12, some basses have 2 little dots here, or sometimes you can see it here on the side. Now let's begin naming the notes on our first string. Our biggest string, or thickest, I mean, is our E string. Now, we have our, if I hit this string and I don't use my left hand, it will be called an open string. This will be an E. When I hit the thickest string without using my left hand, this is an E. Now, as we said before, after an E, we go into an F. Now, this will be an F in the first fret. A G will be the 3rd fret, but we need to name the note in between, and we already said that it can either be called an F sharp or a G flat. So F sharp or G flat, it can be called one of the 2. G sharp or A flat, A sharp or B flat, B, C, okay, from B we go straight into C, C sharp or D flat, D sharp, E flat, and then E. Now remember I spoke about the 12th fret. The 12th fret is special in that after this fret, the pattern repeats. So this was an E, this will be an E, and then it will be the same pattern we just did here. F sharp, G flat, G sharp, and it goes on. Our next string, A. So A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D sharp, E flat, E, straight into F, F, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A. Again, after this point, we repeat the same pattern, so I'm not going to name these because you just need to follow the same pattern you did before. Now, the third string, it's a D, okay? So D, between D and E, there's a note, so D sharp, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, C sharp, D flat, and then D, all right? And then same pattern again. Then finally, open G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G flat, and then G. And then same pattern, you know, this was a G, this would be a G sharp, this would be an A, this would be A sharp, B, and whatever, okay? Now, one more thing we need to speak about in relationship to the flats and the sharps. As I said before, a sharp raises a note, a semitone. So let's say, for example, what is it? Well, first of all, what's a semitone on a bass? A semitone will be just the next fret. So if you're here and you raise it a semitone, well, you just go into the next fret. If you lower it a semitone, well, you go down one fret. The bass is a little weird. When we go this direction, we call that going up. When we go in this direction, we call that going down. Now, what happens if you are, for example, in an F sharp? Well, sharp raises the note. So what happens if you sharp an F sharp? Well, if you sharp an F sharp, you're going to end up in G because you raised it semitone. But what happens if you are, let's say, in D sharp and you flatten a D sharp? Well, if you flatten a D sharp, you'll end up in D. All right, so that's all for today. I'm going to include a link so that you can download a diagram of the fretboard. And you need to learn the fretboard. The fretboard is your friend. You want to know all the notes on your fretboard. That way, when you're playing, you can play with confidence. You're not going to be guessing, oh, well, what is this note? You know, you need to know the fretboard, that if you land here, you need to be able to say right away that this is a C sharp. Or if you land here, you should be able to tell me that this is a D without, you know, having to think too much, all right? So, until next time, Mannybass.